Hello and welcome.
Your count.
This is part 8 of my Dark Aeons series, Dark Magus Sisters. Before we begin, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you are a returning viewer, feel free to look at some of our other videos. Now I'm not sure if I am pronouncing the name correctly. It's either Magus, or Magus, or even Magus. I think I will stick to Magus. This will be the last Dark Aeon that I need to defeat before facing penance, and rightly so. There are 3 of them. The 3 sisters are unlike all the other Aeons, in the fact that they cannot be fully controlled, but rather listen to your suggestions. Their Overdrive Delta attack is devastatingly powerful, but can only be performed when all 3 of the sisters have their own Overdrive gauge full. There is nothing you need to unlock to fight these sisters. They appear, same as most of the other Dark Aeons, after the first time you visit Xenakant. Their location is easy to find, and as you saw using a chocobo after fast travelling to Mayhem High Road, will get you there quickly. Don't forget to take in the scenery and talk to all the NPCs, as this might be your last fight before penance. You have the option to fight them individually or all at once. I chose to fight them all at once, as I did not grind for so many hours to take the easy route. To fight them together, you need to get the first 2 summoners to follow you and bring the 3rd one out. Just get them to meet you halfway. Let me introduce the sisters. Mindy is the small flying one, Sandy is the tall middle one, and Cindy is the round one on the left. The individual HPs are Cindy with 3.5 million, Sandy with 2.5 million, and Mindy with only 2 million. The sum of their HP is less than Anima, but it doesn't mean that this will be easy in the slightest. For the setup of this fight, I'm using the same equipment that I did for the Dark Anima fight. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to find it under part 7 in the description. The difference here is that I have maxed out the sphere grid completely. I have turned every node on the sphere grid into a +4 and removed any stats that were less. The HP of my characters is as high as I could get, with all the other stats remaining at 255. There are 2 things I need to focus on. First up, I need to eliminate one of the sisters as fast as I possibly can. Titus's Overdrive helped a little, but I will be using quick attacks for most of the fight. The second thing to focus on is to avoid the Overdrive attack. Even if I cast Autolive to all 3 of my characters, the Magus Sisters, the Overdrive, will nullify the Autolive and it'll be game over. The sisters' turn is fast approaching, and I have made a small dent into Mindy's HP, so now I need to make sure that I summon an Aeon that will block their Delta attack. Since I do not have Yuna's Overdrive gauge full to use Grand Summon, I went ahead and summoned Anima, as she has her own Overdrive gauge full. Anima should be able to deal a fair bit of damage to all 3 sisters with Oblivion. If you look at the turn order in the top right, you will see that I only have 1 shot to use Oblivion. Also, if you have noticed in my previous videos that I have set it up to only display the shorter versions of the summoning animations. That's over 500,000 in damage in one go, plus Anima will shield me from the Delta attack, which is a bit of a spectacle. And it's also a great animation. Enjoy! Thank you for your help, Anima. There is absolutely no other way to survive that attack. I was lucky that Anima did not die during the first 2 hits from the sisters. I thought that maybe after the second attack it was going to be over. Now I need to go back to focusing on finishing Mindy off. Fun fact, the sisters' first appearance was in Final Fantasy IV. They appear as a boss that you need to fight, and they use Delta attack. Having the Magus Sisters in Final Fantasy X is, in my opinion, a great recall to the early Final Fantasy games. They pay homage to the creative talents from an era where graphics were severely limited by the available technology. Their turns are now approaching, and having all 3 alive would have made everything a bit more challenging. Luckily, I will never have to find out how challenging. As you can see, Sandy and Cindy hit very hard, and on top of it all, their attacks inflict status effects. At least they can only attack one person at a time. The attack name Razia comes from an Arabic word meaning raid, and the attack Kamsada is a surprise raid. Both terms have military origins. Nothing about these sisters is friendly. The only way forward is to resurrect with full life, and hope that they stop attacking me with those attacks, because if that continues, I won't be able to make any progress. Like I said, it'll get old very quickly. I have tried with all the Dark Aeons to go into the fight with minimal strategy information and just make sure that my stats and equipment are up to the task. From there, I would learn as I play and hopefully figure out the means to victory. I recognize that I had to change my tactic here immediately. I had to be able to get more turns in. Any spell that I perform would be one whole turn, and to revive both characters, I would be back at square one. So using quick pockets helps me to manipulate the turn order and revive both Tidus and Waka at the same time. As I've said in my previous video, I'm not the biggest fan of relying on consumables to get through the fight, but with these enemies, it's very hard not to. Now that Yuna's overdrive gauge is full, I'm going to try to fight fire with fire. It might help to use my Magus Sisters against the dark ones. Here you can compare the differences in look. The player-controlled Magus Sisters look much more vibrant. Not sure if I've mentioned this before, but as the Magus Sisters cannot be controlled like all the other Aeons, you have to suggest an action, and maybe they will do it. The only attack they listen to, without question, is their overdrive attack. That roughly did 500,000 in damage, which should help to take them down a notch. Unfortunately, that is all the help that my Magus Sisters can provide. Using an overdrive severely sets the turn order back, and they won't be able to have any other turns. The Dark Magus Sisters are far too powerful. Thank you. This distraction is summoning the Magus Sisters, help me to reset the turn orders and provide me with the opportunity to attack. At this point, I can go back to using quick attacks, and I should have been counting the hits. I was very much caught up in wanting to fight the Dark Magus Sisters, but I didn't think about the work required to be able to keep track of the progress. Nobody said that there would be consequences. I chose to use Tidus' overdrive. I don't know why I did that. All the characters' overdrives do not seem to be worth it in terms of damage. The DPS is just too low compared to simply using quick attacks. Also, I'm not sure if I'm getting old, but hitting that slider at that perfect time to get that extra hit in seems impossible sometimes. The risk of missing it and losing that one quick attack worth of damage does not seem to make sense. From this point, I simply need to get lucky, and I hope that Cindy and Sandy just continue to use simple attacks to only hit Waka and Tidus. That way, with their counterattack ability, I'll be able to get some free hits in. I also realized at this point I should have been focusing my attacks on Sandy and defeat her first. Mega Graviton attack looks easy enough to shrug off, but had I not been wearing ribbon armor with break HP limit, every time that I've been hit with this attack, I could have had my party wiped. In general, having ribbon armor seems essential. Sandy's slash attack alone petrifies, and if the damage incurred is greater than the character's HP, they shatter and cannot be revived. Mega Graviton is also the overdrive that each individual sister uses when their gauge fills up. It may not be as powerful as the Delta attack, but it is still very annoying. In this fight, when you think you have some time to just attack, you get the sisters knocking one of your characters out, and also the Kamisad drain all the MP of a character. Slowly but surely, you are being forced into a corner that is difficult to get out of. Yet another round starting with Mega Graviton, and it looks like I'm in a pickle. To make matters worse, Yuna gets hit with Kamisad. As I do not have any MP with Titus, I can't use quick pockets to sneak in an extra turn. My options are very limited here. Using Mega Phoenix will give me good odds to survive the next round of attacks. But in these kinds of situations, you just need to take a breath and think about your options, and really hope that you can get lucky. As luck would have it, I got a free attack on Sandy, and at this point I really need to make sure that I gather myself, heal up the best that I can, and start doing some damage. Oh, look at that. After all this time playing, Titus finally learned the Overdrive mode healer. When you set Titus's Overdrive to healer, he will have his Overdrive gauge fill slightly every time he performs a healing action. Yuna had this unlocked very early on in the game. If you have made it this far into the video, and while the team takes a break, I would like to sincerely thank you for your support. Every like that I get, every minute that gets watched, every subscription I receive, and every comment that gets made contributes to the YouTube algorithm and helps me to reach a wider audience. I really enjoy making these videos, and I especially enjoy playing the games that help me create the raw content for these videos. This video of the Dark Aeons series is the second last video in the series. There's only one more boss to fight, and you will see a preview of the boss at the end of the video. Defeating these Dark Aeons has always been a goal that I wanted to achieve, and making videos about them has helped to motivate me in going about it the right way. If you'd like to have an input and say into the kind of videos I make, feel free to make a comment or send me a DM on Instagram, Amel's Playground. I will try to respond to all comments and messages. That little distraction has served several purposes. One to show my gratitude, and the other to get a little ahead in terms of damage. I was able to attack both sisters at once and got a free counter attack on Cindy and reset the turn orders. I think I am just past the halfway point, and I need to keep up with healing. So time to get ready for the next overdrive from Cindy by preparing auto life and just doing a couple of hits. You can see that Cindy is below half health as she doesn't stand up straight anymore between turns. This gives me a bit of comfort and confidence that I will defeat them this time. As I have said before, I'm not following any specific guide on defeating the Dark Aeons. I just did what I always enjoyed doing in other Final Fantasy games, which is to see how overpowered I could become before reaching a boss and then making light work of them. And in this case, having all the stats maxed, having the best armors and also the best weapons goes a long way to qualify for the term overpowered. In the case of the Dark Aeons though, it still doesn't feel like it's enough. They're tricky to defeat and you always seem to be on the back foot. My hat goes off to anyone that tries to fight them with anything less than max stats or break HP limit. I couldn't imagine how hard it would be. How do you defend against something that does over 25k damage when your HP is only 9,999? I guess you could block it with an Aeon and use Reaper's Overdrive to double HP and buff the whole party. Although I have kept the save file of every Dark Aeon prior to me fighting them. I could go back one day and try to fight them in a different way, if I ever feel the urge to find out how difficult it would be. As you can see from this fight, I am never in a good position. In this case having 2 characters down at a time, but luckily this time I had MP to help me cast full life on Waka and Yuna, and with a turn spare for a quick attack. Having full HP will assist with the next Mega Graviton attack from Sandy, which is definitely coming as her gauge would fill up now. I don't think there is much else that I can do other than to use quick attack and heal when needed. By this point in the battle, it is very difficult to remain patient. I just want it to be finished already. I constantly think that I'm going to lose, but I simply know that I am approaching the end of the battle, so I would like to give thanks again for sticking around and watching. I hope that for the Final Fantasy fans, you learn from my mistakes. I, by no means, think that I know everything there is to know about this game, but I do love playing it. Be sure to check out my other videos in the series, and maybe some of my Fall Guys shorter videos. That game can also be very addictive, especially when you have a competitive personality. I think it's free for PSN subscribers. Okay, so my characters handled that last set of attacks from the sisters rather easily, and I am again in a good position to heal and collect myself. I am lucky that Yuna got hit in that instance. I did however not pay attention to the fact that Waka had no MP, so I need to resort to items again, and I cannot use quick pockets. I think I could have been a lot more efficient with my choices in this fight. It goes to show how much having all stats max helps to forgive shortcomings in decisions sometimes. I put this video together some time after I got to record the fight, and I get to review all my actions and decisions. It makes me want to fight the sisters again. Wait, just hear me out. I know a lot more now, and I hope that I've learned from my lessons. This fight could have been done much faster and more efficient. Or maybe I can use what I learned from this fight for the next and last boss fight in the series. Cindy's Overdrive gauge is full, and Sandy hits me with Razia. This may be the last Overdrive that Cindy performs in this fight, so we'll just have to fully heal up with full life and then go on the offensive. I did think about why I did not count the hits. This was so stressful not knowing how close I was to defeating Cindy. Counting hits will be crucial in defeating Penance, and I don't think it's possible to easily defeat Penance without counting hits. All it will take is just a couple more hits to defeat Sydney, and then I'm free. I was certain that Waka's counterattack would have done the job, so I attacked once more before reviving Yuna. And there we go, Cindy is finally defeated, and the fight from this point will be so much easier and straightforward. Sandy has already received some damage throughout the fight from the Aeons and counterattacks. This will greatly help to defeat her rather quickly. You can already see with Sandy slouching that she's already below half health. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I could have chosen to take on the sisters individually, but I thought this would have been a better challenge. And it has been a good challenge. This was a hard fight. Following Cindy's death, it's been such a change in pace. I've been able to get in so many more hits and barely taken any damage in comparison to how it was before. It's rather refreshing. And here we have what's most likely Sandy's last Overdrive attack on us. I would like to just make a quick correction. Throughout the whole video I've been using the word quick attack when I should have used quick hit, but it didn't roll off the tongue as easily. These are not Pokemon. I considered using an Aeon to complete the fight, but it's best to get an overkill with your characters. And there we have it. The fight's finally complete. The Dark Magus Sisters are defeated. And the loot that I got is actually pretty good, which I will inspect at the end of the video. For having defeated all the other Dark Aeons, we are treated now to a small cutscene. This is penance. Thank you to those that have made it this far. Let's have a quick look at the items that dropped for me, and then, as it is customary, we're gonna have some fun with Yojimbo and see how he would have handled the three sisters. This Acropolis glove is for Kamari, and I already have something very similar, so this is not bad. The Sanctuary with break HP limit and ribbon is amazing, but I have like 5 of them. And this Arcane Ring is garbage. Now it's as good as time as any to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, and be on the lookout for more videos from me in the future. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It was a lot of fun to make. And now I'm going to finish the video off with Yojimbo doing what Yojimbo does. See you next time.